Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode of Carnival Cruising Podcastaways, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything Carnival cruising related. My name is Trevor Shelby, and joining me, actually, not joining me, because Thomas Kennedy decided to abandon me. He is abandoned ship. He's gone overboard. He has run all the way to Galveston to go on his cruise. Mr. Kennedy, I hope you have had a fabulous time. This is a very sad day for him. The day that this episode comes out is actually the day he gets off the boat. Everyone, please send your condolences to Mr. Kennedy. It's just a sad day for him. He has to get off the boat and return home. Safe travels, Tom. I wish you and your mom the best. So for today's episode, we actually have quite a bit of stuff to cover. We got some news scoops and a few other things going on. This is going to be a very newsy episode. It's something I'm trying out just for today. I know that we said in the past that we're not a news show, but we do cover a lot of news topics. And I thought today it would be nice to try this little bit of a different system here, because we do got some stuff in the pipeline, stuff we've talked about before, but we've been delayed on. And you know what? It's coming, folks. It's coming. So here we go. Things have been kind of interesting in the cruising content creator world. I know a lot of you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but there are a group of creators, typically on YouTube or TikTok or wherever, even here, we're guilty of it. So, I mean, everybody is pretty much. So there is a bit of news that'll come out, and then one creator will pick it up and they will run with it. And then it's like all the other content creators will also come up with it. So if you're looking up cruise news, you'll see one guy report about something. It's typically an article or something that he read from somewhere else, and he reports about that, and then everybody else reports about that, and they all kind of jump off, of news off of one another. Well, this last week, there's a guy, his YouTube channel is Island Time. And he posted about how he's on the Vista. He's actually on the same ship with Mr. Kennedy. And we do have a little bit of a scoop on this. So we got our man in the field. All right, we got our man in the field. That's how we're going to do this. So Island Time posted this video about how there was, I guess, several announcements on the Vista where people were not doing the e-muster, and I guess there was like 400 or 500 people that hadn't done it, and they're not leaving port until they do that. And just, it was a big mess, and it got to the point where they stopped serving drinks and food. And so according to him, this is the exact time that him and his son are in line to get a Guy's burger, and they can't get it. And gosh, how do you explain that to a 6-year-old? That's just, you're punishing the many. That's how the other guy put it. You're punishing the many because of the few. And so kind of crazy, but okay. So, and I guess they supposedly hinted that they would go back to the old muster if people couldn't e-muster. So this story gets picked up by another YouTuber who's, I guess, a bigger YouTuber. He's got a lot more subscribers. And Lalito Loco or something like that. I'm not going to look it up. And so if you're in the cruise news scene, you know who I'm talking about. So this guy runs with it, and pretty much his story is that they're going back to the old muster 100%. They're doing away with e-muster. And so this thing kind of got ballooned and went out of control. So then, of course, a lot of people went running to John to ask him, what's going on. And John had to put out this whole statement. And John basically says there's no truth to any of this. The e-muster is staying there. It's not going anywhere. If it was, they would announce it. and that is pretty common sense. I mean, it's not going to be some YouTuber or a podcast or some TikToker that is going to come up with the news before Carnival announces it. This is not going to happen. They might have a little insight on what's going on, but just about anything they say is going to be a guess. And the same thing 100% goes with this podcast that you're listening to right now. We are just as bad as everyone else sometimes when it comes to the things that we talk about. We do speculate on things that are going to happen, but I'm never going to come out there and say, this is changing. Carnival's making this change. It's for real happening when they haven't said it. So us here at Carnival Cruising Podcastaways, we'll do our best to not spread rumors so much, and hopefully others will do the same. But here is the scoop, what our man in the field reported to me before I recorded this episode. I told him everything that was going on. He was clueless because he's been out on the seas. He's been drunk. He's been having fun. So I sent a message to Mr. Kennedy asking him, hey, have you heard everything that's been going on? He said no. And so I basically kind of spelled it out for him. And this is what he told me, okay? He's on the same boat with the guy that started all this with the my kid can't eat kind of thing. So I asked him, was it crazy? What happened? Were people mad? What's going on? And he tells me that he didn't hear any of the announcements. He didn't notice any of the service shutting down. He was out on Lido for most of the time. So if all this was going on, he should have noticed something, but he didn't. And either way, it doesn't really matter. But I think the real part of the story is that people should e-muster, as soon as it's available, as soon as you can. You get on the boat and your muster station is ready to start seeing people. Go there right away. Don't make them wait. Don't hold the boat up. Don't make them shut down service. That sucks. So you can look at it as punishing the many because of the few, but what else are they supposed to do? Seriously, what else do they need to do to get everybody over there? If they have to shut down service just to get people to the e-muster, then that's what they need to do. Think about it whenever we went to our muster stations before. They would make an announcement, they would shut down all the services across the ship, and then we would go to our muster station. This is really no different. If people aren't doing what they're supposed to do, they need to shut things down and get people over there. Guess what the people are doing that whether they should be over there doing the e-muster? They're drinking and eating. So if they cut that off, then they can get over there. You're not going to die. Your kid's not going to die. You're not going to die waiting 20 minutes for somebody to get over there and check in for their e-muster. Believe me, you're going to survive. But enough about that. Let's talk about some real non-rumors news in the Carnival cruising scene. The Carnival Sensation is making its way across the ocean right now, headed to the scrap heap. This is according to cruiseradio.net. The Carnival Sensation is on her way to the scrapyard. She is sold for a reported $11 million and is currently making her way to a scrapyard in Turkey. The Carnival Sensation was built in 1993. It was a fantasy-class ship. The next ship that will be leaving the Carnival fleet is the Carnival Ecstasy, which will be exiting this fall. If you enjoy the fantasy class ships, there are only two that are left in rotation. It is the Carnival Elation and Carnival Paradise. These are the only two fantasy class ships that had received significant makeovers recently within the last probably 20 years. So probably a lot of that 2.0 stuff. So yeah, so I've never actually been on a fantasy class ship. If you've been on a fantasy class ship, it would be wonderful if you hopped over to our Facebook page over at facebook.com and search for Carnival Cruising Podcastaways. Let us know what your experience were on these ships and maybe post a few photos. In many ways, I do feel like I'm missing out on something here because I've never been on these ships, and this ship was such a staple to Carnival's family and its history. And so, I there's only 2 left. So if I'm going to do it, I need to pull the trigger at some point very soon. Now, if you've never seen it before, I highly recommend going and checking it out on YouTube and look up how they do these scraps and how they beach these ships. It is crazy. And there is actually, I don't remember what Carnival ship it was, but there is one YouTube on there video where this ship is beaching itself, and this is how they do it. They put full steam ahead and they just slam the ship into the beach. And this boat was wedging itself between 2 other boats, and they don't care. They're gonna bump into the other boats. But it was kind of sad because it was a Carnival cruise ship that they kind of bumped into. And so I watched it, and I just remember thinking, oh, that's sad. But it happens, that's how they do it. They beach these ships so they're a lot easier to get to. They hire a bunch of very cheap labor that's going to go in there and just dismantle these ships piece by piece. It only takes them months to have these things stripped down to almost nothing. And so it is it's a very interesting thing to watch these ships full steam ahead and just slam right into the beach. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and I don't want you guys to think that this isn't like an advertisement or anything, but if you're planning a summer vacation right now, you're trying to get on a Carnival ship, if you're trying to go on a cruise, man, pay attention to these cruise deals right now, because they've got some amazing ones that are coming out right now. And I just want to say that, you're trying to go cheap on a family vacation, pay attention to your email. So if you're looking for some summer cruise deals, last week, Carnival had a 72-hour sale, which it's over now, I'm sorry. But, pay attention to these. They had this 72-hour sale where kids could cruise for only $1. That does not include port fees and such like that, but that is a fantastic deal. And that was good through sailings through September of 2022, so that covered the whole summer. And yeah, that's a great deal. Now, with my kids, they're grown now. I know it's kind of weird. I sound very young. Actually, it's because I am very young. Thank you. And my kids, when they were little, we used to go on cruises all the time, but we would avoid the summertime like you wouldn't believe, because the summertime just costs so much for kiddos. And so we always cruised with our friends in December or just like odd times of the year. And so this is a great way to kind of have to get out there and do some of those summer cruises. Funny enough, this summer cruise that I'm doing this year is like one of I think 2 that I've done ever. And this will be my 11th and 12th cruises. So think about that. Most of the time I'm in the off season, but it's not a bad thing either. So now that my kids are grown, I have an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. I'm going to get to enjoy cruising whenever I want, because they got jobs, they get to do what they want. So if they want to go, they can buy their ticket. I don't have to do it anymore. So they I wish it worked that way. I'm still probably going to be buying their tickets here or there, but the next few vacations that I have scheduled are just with me and my wife, and that's okay. And we could cruise whenever we want, because the prices aren't bad for just two people. So not for what everything that you get. So I highly, highly recommend pay attention to these deals. I've seen some today as well. So I'm recording this the day before this comes out. So yeah, there's some great deals on there. So really, really watch. Check your emails. Look for anything Carnival coming in. Now, speaking of cruises that me and my wife are doing, we are going next year on the Jubilee on its inaugural cruise going out of Galveston, and I am very excited about that. But there was some Jubilee news that came out. So, the Carnival Jubilee, which is the third Excel class ship, had a steel cutting ceremony. And I'm going to go ahead and read the article here from Cruise and Ferry website. Mayer Werft Shipyard has cut the first steel for Carnival Cruise Line's third Excel class ship, Carnival Jubilee. A ceremony was held in the yard of Papenburg, Germany, attended by representatives of Carnival Cruise Line and Mayer Werft. A silhouette of the ship was cut from the steel and signed by those in attendance. A plaque was also cut from the same piece of steel to commemorate the cruise line's 50th anniversary. It's our birthday, and with today's steel cutting for Carnival Jubilee, this is a great way to honor the accomplishments of Carnival Cruise Line's first 50 years and to celebrate the excitement ahead, said Christy Duffy, president of Carnival Cruise Line. Those are great sentiments, and I wonder if the plaque that they cut out for the 50th anniversary, I wonder if that would be something that will be on display somewhere on the boat once it's completed, and something that guests can maybe go by and find or see. That would be kind of cool. Now, I did say that we had a little scoops here or there, and I wanted to say that these scoops come straight from Carnival. So I know that these are things that that we can talk about and say are scoops, okay? If you are a member of our Carnival Cruising Podcastway group, you will see that we posted a little tease about the 820 Biscayne, which is going to be on the new XL ship Celebration. It is actually a tribute to where Carnival first had its headquarters. So this is a Miami tribute, and it is going to have all kinds of decorations and flair of that area of Miami. There will be some new themed restaurants, and, you know, they've hinted at Cuban sandwiches and lots of coffee. So definitely go check that out on over there at Facebook. Search for Carnival Cruising Podcastaways group, and you can find the little video package there. It doesn't show too much. Don't get too excited, but it does kind of break it down to what you could expect to see here in the near future for the Carnival Celebration. Now, the other scoop that we have is something that I saw John talking about just earlier today. And so this is coming from the man's mouth, so I think that I can go ahead and say this. So my favorite thing I've ever done on a Carnival ship, and hopefully I can only do this once, is I got married on a Carnival ship. And because of COVID, because of the protocols, this has made it very difficult for them to actually do marriages on the ship. And so they've been canceled all this time. And John actually said today that they are planning on bringing back those later this year. And I've got to say, this, it could change. You never know. But it really does sound like he sounded pretty confident that they were coming back this year. So plan on that. I don't know if fall might be too early, but if you're planning for a late fall, a winter, or a springtime wedding for next year, Definitely check Carnival out. I will say, as a person that has done it, it is the easiest wedding thing I've ever planned in my entire life. And I've had two, okay? So I'm kind of like an expert here. So, no, but it is a very easy process. We got it set up in like little to no time. They send you all the information that you need. You just like check the boxes. They get it. They'll have everything ready for you when you get to port. You just put together the guest list. You pick out your flowers. You pick out your what you want to do after the wedding, the photos, the fun, all that stuff. It is stress free, and I gotta say, it was probably the smartest decision for my pocketbook to do as well. I gotta say, and we got an incredible deal. Okay, I think I might be spending more money on this summer cruise than I did that wedding. I'm being honest, which that might have something to do with the fact that I'm getting two rooms and all this stuff, but it is what it is. So that is all that I have for today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. I know that a lot of you enjoy the banter between Thomas and I, but I can't help it if the guy runs off, not just across country, but he leaves the darn country and decides to go on a cruise on his own. Who does he think he is? I mean, seriously. Can't believe it. Anyways, guys, definitely go over there, check us out on our Facebook page, search for Carnival Cruising Podcast Ways, and you'll find us right away. I will see you guys next time, and remember, what happens on the boat stays on YouTube. I'll see you all next time. See ya.